Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Tammy, brought to you by Beacon Air Resources. Beacon Air Resources is one of the most comprehensive consulting company working with individuals, businesses, schools, government, and organizations. And for the past 10 years, they have been conducting seminars, workshops, and individual services relating to personal branding and appearances. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, a little bit about the show. Let's Talk features interesting personalities from all walks of life, sharing their profound insights into relevant topics. I'm Tammy, your host, and my basis for the show has always stemmed from my curiosity and wanting to learn from my guests. And as you all are aware, this is our season finale. And to end the season with a bang, I'm very excited to bring in um, Shia Lynn Victor of the Artsy Craftsy to join us this evening. Thank you so much for being on the show, Shia Lynn.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Um, so I just want to because when I asked about your profile when I wanted to create the poster and everything, and then you have this designation, right? Could you care to explain what does intuitive mixed media artist mean? What does a creative advocate do? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. Okay. So for my designation of as an intuitive artist, the basically as an artist, I create intuitive art. I call myself an intuitive artist because most of my artworks, which are intuitive visionary paintings, they are mostly a reflection of my inner voice or my consciousness or of my introspection. So I use art as a way for me to express myself and to translate whatever visions that I have or whatever ideas that I have, onto the canvas. So that's my role as an intuitive artist. And of course, I hope to be able to move people and tap into their emotions through my art as well. The term mixed media is basically the type of medium that I use because I don't like to we have out there, we have a lot of abstract artists, watercolor artists, but for me in particularly, because I consider myself a very free creative spirit, in that sense. I don't like to restrict myself a lot, so I use a lot of mixed media, which that means I combine all kinds of mediums, and I don't limit myself to a particular medium to create art. So sometimes it can be on a form of different materials on the canvas, or if not, it can be altered art, it can be on a fabric painting. Sometimes it's crafts as well, so it really depends. So as my role as a creative advocate, well, to be honest, okay, so the how it came about, the term creative advocate, is actually something I gave myself because there's no word to describe exactly what I do. So initially, it started off as a blog. What I do, the Artsy Craftsy, started off as a blog. And I never wanted to associate myself with the term blogger because it's still it's very limiting, it's very restricted. So then throughout the years, as time goes by, I realized that I don't even resonate with the term creative entrepreneur as well. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I came with creative advocate because I realized that in the whole throughout the years, in the whole picture, that whatever it is that I've been doing, I'm actually a passionate creative, and my goal is to empower people with creativity. It's to uplift the creative communities, kind of like an advocate, basically, you can say. So hence the term creative advocate.
Right.
Basically my role is to empower people, to encourage them to be creative and to network with the community as well. And I, at the same time, because of my love for creativity, I'm also a coach, an art life coach as well. So I help people seek their creative clarity in that sense. Particularly targeting to creatives, makers, and hobbies. Yeah.
Right. So you would describe yourself as a creative, right?
Yeah.
So how would you define being a creative?
How would I define? I would say basically, okay, so I realized that I practically live and breathe, if I can say eat, I just basically live, breathe, and eat art,
Okay.
which is no joke because it's literally the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning.
Right.
Like when I wake up, and that's like really the first thing on my mind. It's not really like what am I going to paint today? It's not in that sense, but it's more like I think about things that are like, it's in a form of creative expression, so like I don't really have a particular definition, because I find that you can't really use words to define such things, because it's mostly here in my heart.
Okay.
So like describing you did is just not the same, but hence why I pursue different passion projects, whether it is as an artist, whether it is through organizing events, connecting with the community. That's my way of expressing myself as a creative. Yeah,
right.
So that's how I define myself as a creative, which is
okay. But because a lot of people probably do art, but they'll probably do it as a hobby. They might have like a whole lot of medium, and maybe experiment with different media, different canvases, but they would never, majority of us would never think of pursuing it full time.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to make it a full-time thing?
So I think this thing is innate in me. I've always been very passionate about creativity, or art and creativity as a whole, whatever the label is, since I was a child. So like, I think it was natural in me to actually move towards this direction, like even right down to my job. Before I quit my job to do this, I was a copywriter, and it was in an art and design college. So it was still under that whole creative line itself,
Right.
And no matter what I did, I found myself gravitating towards that side of things, wanting to just express myself very badly, through creativity. And I had all these ideas, whether it is like I say, organizing events, or do this project, do that project, So then I realized that at one point I just felt like, the time has come for me to actually do this. And I felt that, okay, maybe I should give it a shot, because if I don't, then I won't know what it feels like. I won't know.
Correct.
So I have to find out. Yeah. And even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. I'll just go back to work again. But if it does work out, then I'll just go all the way. And I guess it's really just something that I really wanted to do as a child. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I could think of, probably, even before I was reading about you, is like the most that we can do to get some sort of income through art would be probably commission work.
Yeah.
But you are doing so many different things. Can you tell us what are the things that you are, involved in, and what are the things that you're currently working on right now?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll just give a little bit of context of before COVID happened. So before COVID, I was running the Artsy Craftsy, just like another platform.
Right.
So like I mentioned earlier, that it was previously a blog, and then after that, as when I quit my job, I turned it into a platform, and the platform consists of basically content, running activities, providing like craft activities or and services, to corporate companies and all that. So like I would provide craft sessions, for corporate companies who want that as a service. And I have crafters under me as well, so we will provide this service every now and then for like team building and stuff like that. So when COVID happened, then of course a lot of things were affected. So then I found myself moving towards more of helping people. Like it's sort of like a connection between mental health and self-development at the same time, but it's through creativity. And so I found myself moving towards that direction. So right now what I'm doing is I'm working towards coaching programs, but in particularly for creative people or hobbies. When I say hobbies, that means you don't really have to be an artist or a crafter or a maker to take up the coaching program. What I mean is that I use like therapeutic art techniques in my coaching sessions. So I'm moving towards that direction. And at the same time, I'm providing intuitive art sessions as well, which is non-skill based, but to help people like sort of like tap into their creative side, their inner creative self. Because it's one thing to have skill, but if you don't have that heart there, you don't feel that thing that in you, it's not the same. Then you will constantly be very result oriented whenever you make art, or whenever you want to be creative. Then you are also like restricting your mind to only think like, oh, I can't paint, or I can't do this because I'm not creative. But the idea is to have a balanced life. So hence all hence the type of services that I offer, which is, is inclusive of all these things. And at the same time, so what I'm offering currently right now is consultation services as well. This is particularly for makers or whoever that wants to start a craft business, that so that I provide consultation to them to help them, guide them through whatever it is that they want to know. Yeah.
Okay. So you were talking about how, before COVID.
Yeah.
So the past 1-2 years have been pretty hard, I think, but the past 1 year has been pretty hard. So how has that affected, like, you may have so many plans, future, programs that you may have come up with early of 2020, which, didn't happen. So how has that affected your business? Or did you like pivot it to a different pathway or anything like that?
Definitely affected greatly, I think. And I'm sure that a lot of people out there was affected as well. I watched my my fellow creatives, in the field as well, who also was affected by it. Me in particularly, yes, because a lot of my income came from offline income, and mostly like through events, whether is it through collaborations, but mostly it's offline. So it was definitely affected. So basically what I did was I took the time. I mean, as heart aching as it was, because like I had like 40 packs of team building session, right before the lockdown. So, and that was so sad, because there were 2 bookings, and both bookings were cancelled, because of the whole entire lockdown and the sudden, rise, the peak in numbers and all that. So it was quite devastating actually. But what I did was, in the first few months, I took a break. I literally just took a break, and I told myself that maybe it was just like I would like to see it as a sign for me to work things out, like to kind of like restructure stuff, and try and troubleshoot some stuff, things that I never really got to do. Because when you are running a business, any form of business, especially you are on your own doing this, right? It can be very narrow-minded to certain stuff, So like I realized a lot of the things that I did was all very tunnel vision, which happens as well, So I guess in a way, it kind of worked out well, because right after that, I really did pivoted, in a way. I still maintain back the whatever it is that I did, the theme around it, or my beliefs and all that. But it was more like the goal and the value that I want to offer. It was moving towards something much more meaningful than just providing a service. So like, yeah, because I also realized that a lot of people, whenever they talk about the Artsy Craftsy, they think that it's a studio and just someone or a studio that does workshops, but it's not really that. It's at the end of the day, it's just a platform that encourages people to explore creativity in that sense, But so I guess I took the time to like reshuffle things around, and then just like move towards that direction a little bit. So I would say, kind of like pivoted a bit, but in a more like a restructuring kind of pivot.
Okay. Would you say that it's been working well for now? Like it turned out to be better than what you expected in the beginning, with just doing team building related stuff, and now you're doing so many other things now?
Yeah, actually, I would say much more focus. There's a lot more focus, rather than just at that time, it was just about making money. But it's not to say like making money is bad, it's nothing like that. It's just that I didn't want it to just be that. And when my entire energy was just focused on just that, making money and getting clients and whatnot, right? I forget about the value that I'm supposed to deliver, to my community, or as someone who supposedly is supposed to uplift my community. But I wasn't doing that enough, because I was so busy in this side of things. So I guess right now things would have been much more focused, I'm much more passionate than I was before, actually, to be honest. Yeah. So
okay,
hence the
nice
passionate creative. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, before I move on to the next question, just to the viewers out there who is watching, you feel free to leave comments wherever you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. And if you have any question at all for Shia Lynn, please leave them as well, and I will read them out for Shia Lynn for her to answer your questions. Remember just now you were talking about how a lot of people, when they do art, they chase perfection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that one is something I personally resonate with as well, because most time when I make art, it's very stressful for me, because I am very result oriented. So if it's not turning out as what I want it to be, I get very stressed out and I feel like it's a failure. I feel like, okay, I wasted 2 hours, I wasted all the paint, I wasted everything now. So how do you, but although I have been trying to let free, but it's very difficult to just do things intuitively. So how would you advise people to to do art just to enjoy the process and not think too much about the results?
This is a very good question, because majority of the students, whether mostly so most of my participants are, or my clients are adults,
Mm-hmm.
and they all have that same problem as well.
Right.
Truth be told, I have that problem as well. I really do. Like till today, even though people see me as someone who can express so freely, and so creatively and intuitively through my art, but I still do face those challenges, in my own element. I think yesterday I was doing a small mini intuitive art painting. I was facing the same problem. I was like halfway through, I was like, okay, what am I doing over here? I don't know what the hell am I doing over here. But eventually I found my way into it. And then I begin to realize that it's actually about the mind, like how you perceive things. It's how and a lot of it has to do with our habitual thought process, because we are constantly aiming for perfection. We want it to be perfect. Like, for instance, if we were to paint a sun, okay, in the mindset, right, there are the artist mindset, and then there are the ones who are non-art practitioner kind of mindset, right? I would consider them like hobbies, okay? Or someone like you who do it for fun, When you paint for example, an image of a sun, you want it to really look like a sun. So your mind is constantly expecting you to actually aim for that,
Right.
But the thing is, in your mind, you can actually create whatever it is that you want to create.
Right.
So it can be free. So my advice would be to basically, so this is something I personally practice. I use art journaling very often.
Okay.
So I keep an art journal, and that particular art journal is for me to just basically make mess. And I use mark making methods as well. So mark making, that means I will just create marks, like different marks, different patterns. Mark making is basically different patterns. And that's the space basically that I just I'll just make a mess of everything, and if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter, because when I come back to it the next day, it somehow will make sense.
Right.
So my advice would be to allow yourself that time to sort of like, it's kind of like if you give yourself time to exercise or to meditate. So with art journaling, it is the same thing as well. It is a space, a safe space for you to create without judging yourself, without anybody to judge you. And you are allowed to express and explore as freely as you want, because you have to give yourself that space to do that. Otherwise then you'll constantly be restricting yourself all the time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were saying that you had that struggle as well as an artist. We have this thing called writer's block.
Oh yeah.
Do you have something like that? I mean, as an artist?
Yeah. Okay. So yes, actually we do, but I would like to believe that it's not a creative block in that sense, lah.
Okay.
Because I think block is something where you have a choice. You can choose to be blocked or not. I would say it's just that you're not in the zone. So it's not really blocked. It's just that maybe you're just not vibing at the right frequency and all that, and then you probably need to go get some other things done, and then when your mind and your heart is centered, and in sync, then you can come back to it again. So it's not necessarily blocked, because you can always replace that creative act or whatever it is that you want to do with something else. Yeah.
Right.
So I have faced that before, but I have now understand that it is not blocked. It's just that I'm not in that space or not in that mindset to do it yet, because I'm perhaps not there yet, So I will replace it with other things like probably watching a movie that I like, going through books, writing, journaling, whatsoever. Anything that I can do which is not in particularly not painting, then that means I'm not blocked. You know, I'm still doing something. It's just that I don't want to paint at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. I would say
Okay.
it's kind of like a friend once told me, he said that it's actually more of procrastination rather than block. Yeah.
But how to ensure that that whole space of, block, or like, for your heart and mind not being aligned doesn't, extend for like too many days or too many hours?
Okay, so for this, what I usually do is I set. I have to be disciplined. We have to be disciplined when it comes to things like that. So I would set a day or two for me. So, like for instance, if I were to go on a social media fast, just go off everything, and just be on offline mode, I would set a time and day for it, because that's just part of creating balance. Creating balance doesn't mean that you just throw everything off and then after that, okay, I don't know how long is this going to take, but I'm going to come back whenever I feel like it. It doesn't work that way, because you need to get things done. There are people out there who also expect you to get things done as well.
Correct.
So like I would set the day usually. Like I would tell myself, okay, two days max. Or I will tell myself, if I really need the time, I'll just give myself 2 to 3 days at the most, and then by the third day I have to make sure that I come back again. Yeah, but usually it works for me that way, like by the third day, sometimes even by the second day, I'm back already. I'm fine. I can do it. Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question from Jane.
Okay.
So she says, as a very unartistic person with no sense of depth and coordination, is it possible to use art as a form of expression? Because she sees images in her mind, and when she feels different things, but when she tries to translate to paper, it never appears the same. So I think it's again about a little bit about the perfection part, right? Because what I'm seeing on paper is not what I imagine it should be. Is it the same?
Yeah. Actually, it's exactly what I mentioned earlier. So like, to me, I find that, even if you don't have, she said, like, no sense of depth and coordination, doesn't mean that you can't paint. You can still create art, or basically the idea here is to create in all sorts of ways, so which is why it comes back to the whole art journaling thing, because I find that art journaling is so free flow in that sense, where it allows you to create by combining visual and words. And when I say visual, not necessarily it has to be something that you draw. It can be collage. It can be doodling, and then you can combine it with words, perhaps like poetry, perhaps quotes, come up with your own quotes and things like that. Yeah. So these two always, it can go hand in hand, visual and words. And the whole idea here is to not really expect it to be exactly how you want it to be. But if you really want, then collage is a very good way, collaging, because then you can actually look for the image, like a stock image, cut it out, and then piece it together. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, in art therapy as well, they use collage as a form of art method, for people who can't draw, who can't paint. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this is a fun fact. I mean, myself, Jane, and another friend of ours, we always do this Inktober challenge every year.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we do that. And I think as Jane is like really selling herself short, because I really like her wordplay. Whenever she draws something, it has always a meaning to it. And it's usually a very clever wordplay.
Yes, I can relate, because I've seen how she she writes the captions and all that. I'm usually entertained by it, which is true.
And I
yes,
think,
she's pretty good.
and it's very interesting that you brought up collage as well, because last year during MCO we had, we can't see each other for so long, so we used to have video calls, and there was this one time we were doing art jamming, and everyone did the usual, took out their color pencils and colored and draw and everything, and Jane was the only person who did collage.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like I would really like to see it though. Okay, I'll get her to share it with me later on. But yeah, collaging is a very good way, actually. Yeah.
Okay. But I was interested when you said art therapy. Can you tell us a bit about that? Like, how is it a therapy, and how do you use art as a therapy?
Okay, so to be honest, there's a little bit of confusion out there, because I noticed that in the creative scene, the word therapy has been over glamorized a lot as a form of lifestyle kind of practice, you know, which is fine because I think, yeah, it is therapeutic. But I think for that, right, the actual word would be therapeutic art. So there's
Right.
therapeutic art versus art therapy. It's totally different, you know. Art therapy itself it's something much more clinical, you know. That's like going into a person's tapping into their past, their triggers, and it's to help them out with their mental illness, understanding it through psychotherapy, you know. So that's like an entire different ball game altogether, because that's psychology itself, you know.
Right.
Yeah. But for therapeutic art, it's a little bit different, because therapeutic art, it's much more of the idea here is to use therapeutic art techniques to get you through as a form of coping mechanism, as a form of distress, you know, or to help you with because it's kind of like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy as well. It's a little bit of that, you know, because I think with CBT there's also journaling involved. So when you bring in art, basically the idea of bringing in art as a form of therapy, it's to use visuals to better express yourself in that sense. Yeah, but to me, like I said, you know, visual and words, they go hand in hand together, and you need these two to be able to express yourself in that way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you provide therapeutic art sessions?
Yes, I do. So it's through therapeutic art life coaching.
Right.
Right now, I have been all this while been an art life coach, I would say, but I haven't really quite promoted myself in that sense yet, you know. But until early this year, I started. But right now, I'm kind of like upgrading myself to another level as well. So I'm furthering my studies into it. But yes, I do provide it. Yeah, I do provide therapeutic art life coaching sessions. So it's one-on-one. Yeah, for now it's one-on-one.
Okay.
For them to sort of like give them a private, you know, there's like a safe space for them to express themselves better in case, you know, they have to tap into certain parts. It can be very emotional, you know, because I've been there, done that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, I do.
Okay.
I do provide that.
All right. Do you think, like, you know, when it comes to creativity, right? What do you think creativity is? Is it more about putting your heart and soul into whatever that you're doing, or is it more like letting your mind to flow freely?
I think it's both. I believe like through chaos there's order, through order there's chaos as well, you know.
Wow.
So
Okay.
like, yeah, so to me creativity is both. It's the idea here is to create. So even when you are watching a favorite movie, well, this is very interesting actually, because my husband told me this morning. He said that even when I don't feel like painting, because that's what he noticed about me, right? So when I don't feel like painting, I tend to want to watch something like more of a movie based on my interests, you know, and it's usually based on that genre of fantasy and all that, right? Even through that, by doing that itself, I am also creating, because why? When I watch, I'm bringing my ideas in, and after that, like I'm trying to like understand it and picture it, and somehow it will just inspire my work itself, you know. And so, which is why I think it's both, you know. There's a part where you let it flow freely, you know, but there's at the same time there is structure as well, because like, I mean, think about it, like, you know, when we are like architects, you know, when they're building houses and they like we have cars and all that, you know, those are that's creativity itself as well, you know. But that's structure. We need structure and system and all that, you know. But at the same time, there's the emotional part. So the emotional part, I would say, requires you to be like expressive, you know, free spirited or free flow of ideas, you know, and things like that. Yeah. So I would say both. Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about how, you know, we shouldn't really chase perfection. But the thing is, do you think, so how would you define perfection? Do perfection even have a place in art, or would you define perfection differently?
I think everybody's definition of perfection probably is different. Just like how everyone defines success differently, you know. But I would like to think that there is no perfection in art, because I really don't believe in perfection when it comes to art. To me, art, like if you were to ask me my definition of art and creativity, so to add on like what you asked me earlier, I would say it's about the process.
Right.
It's truly about the process, never really about the result. Because if you don't focus on the process, then then the result won't really happen, that way.
Okay.
But like I do know that for some people, they do see perfection in art, because then there's a debate of like, what about fine arts? What about contemporary art, and they want it to be that perfect, that spot on kind of execution, over there. But I think to me, it's different. Like I don't see perfection in art itself, unless it is design work, then it's different, So I guess it's more of embracing different constructs and like different ideas, like, or depending on the situation, that kind of thing. Yeah. I won't say that I reject it, but I would like to think that there is no perfection when it comes to art, but depending on the situation, then perhaps then you might need perfection in certain things. Yeah.
Right. So when it comes to when you are doing certain things, and have you ever been discouraged?
Oh yes,
when you are creating art.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So this is actually something very personal, is because it started off when I was a kid.
Okay.
And yeah, but I'm very open to sharing this. I don't really mind doing this. So like when I was a kid, I had a family member who literally told me that I shouldn't even pursue art, because otherwise I will hate it. Yeah, I will literally hate it, because then it will be part of my full-time job, and because it's a full-time job, I will end up hating it. So I think as I think I was probably 8 or 9 years old, I can't remember, but I was that young. So they said that like age 0 to 7 onwards, that kind of thing is very very an important phase for a child. Correct. Yeah. So like I was really confused, and I didn't understand, because I remember being so passionate, with art, and I love drawing, and even my mom encouraged me. But this particular family member of mine was I suppose was very bitter. So she probably didn't realize that she was going to affect my entire life just by saying that itself, Yeah. So like it became a blockage in me for many years. And I think probably it was one of the reasons why I was a little bit stuck creatively before this, which is somehow connected to the whole post-COVID thing as well, because like post-COVID, then I'm much more expressive in that sense, because I managed to understand how to tap into that inner self of mine, and to break away from that blockage. So yeah, so I was definitely discouraged, but I think at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to do something about it, because like I can't keep blaming on that incident forever. It's my own responsibility, to make a difference. Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking earlier about I suddenly got this question. You're talking about earlier, like we have contemporary art, you have abstract art. How would you describe your art? How would you describe Shia Lynn's art?
Mine is okay. So I don't really have a word for it, but if I have to label it, it would be intuitive art or intuitive visionary art. So intuitive art, because I allow myself to be free on the canvas, and I understand the idea here is to not be because nothing is permanent. In life, nothing is permanent. So to me, on canvas, nothing is permanent as well, because when you even if you have an idea, that idea can change as you are painting. It changes, and I embrace that change at the same time as I'm painting. So I call it visionary art at the same time, because as someone who is very highly inquisitive, so what I practice meditation on a daily basis. So I notice that whenever I'm meditating and I'm tapping into my pineal gland, which is here, I actually do see visions. I see, like, whatever it is that however my mind interprets, whether it is through my subconscious or my conscious, my conscious side of the memory and all that, I'm not sure. But basically, when the images come, it's a whole combination of creative. It's like an entire creative image itself, So like, I would translate that onto canvas itself. So which is why I don't really know what to call it, but that's what I call it, Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah.
Okay, I have two, like, out of the topic questions, since you mentioned meditation, right? So when do you usually do this meditation? That's question number one. Like, what time of the day? And number two, do you think that because you are naturally a very visual person, because you dabble in arts and you do art every single day, so it's very visual oriented, do you think that's the reason you probably there are probably people who have been trying meditation for so many years and they probably could not see or have any visions. So do you think the fact that you are an artist and your life revolves around visuals, it's easier for you to get visions and things like that?
Okay, so to answer your first question, so what time of the day? I usually try to do it in the morning. I try to, because like sometimes certain things can get in the way, so then I miss out on that. But it helps if you do it in the morning with zero digital distraction. So what my husband and I, we practice is that when we get up, we don't look at our phones, we put our phones away, and then we practice dream recollection. For some reason, dream recollection and a little bit of journaling, like a gratitude journaling and all that, somehow helps with meditation. So once we have done that, we immediately move into meditation.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll do that in the morning. And if we don't, I would say any time of the day is fine. I try to avoid doing it at night because then I'll fall asleep. Yeah.
Okay.
Your body immediately goes into beta level, because beta is like when you are already very relaxed.
Winding
So
down already.
correct, yeah. So when you're winding down, then you just basically go off to sleep. But some people do that, because they want to relax, and it's fine, if they want to do that. But for me, I do it in the morning or in the daytime. Yeah. So to answer your second question, I'm not sure, because like I think someone, like even my husband, he mentioned as well, he said that perhaps I'm much more of a visual person, and that's why I can see things easily. But I don't really think so. I just think that yeah, I'm not really sure, how to even whether it is even true, because I'm naturally like I gravitate towards art. That's why I can see stuff, But I think the idea here when you meditate is not to see stuff actually,
Yeah.
because then
Okay.
your mind is constantly busy all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do it intentionally because I enjoy seeing those images, right? So I intentionally let my kite fly because I want to be able to connect the images that in that sense. Yeah. So when I go into theta level, and that's when I will start to see images and like colors, whatever it is that will be able to help me.
Right.
And I think at the end, right, it's for people, if they feel that they don't see anything, like the idea is really not to see stuff like, but the idea here is to understand, like, for you to actually stop thinking, and to, well, okay, I'm not supposed to say stop thinking in that sense, because you're supposed to be kinder to yourself, but sort of like detach from
Detach yourself.
your, from whatever it is that you have in this world, and to just like be an observer instead, but it helps if you understand the different types of meditation that will be able to help you. Yeah, like for me, I know that letting my kite fly will help me in that sense, so then I'll do that
Okay.
instead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long do you meditate every day?
So we use binaurals. So depending on the binaurals, like which is, you can find it on YouTube. Sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, but there are a few times that we even went longer than that, like probably 30 minutes as well. Yeah. If I can go longer, I'll just go longer. But usually my body will tell me that, okay, it's time to stop, and it's time to, like, you got to go and get things done. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
at the most probably like 15 minutes lah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another question from Uma. She's asking about art therapy. She thinks that art therapy is a fantastic way to channel our emotions effectively. So when you're doing the therapeutic art, right, do you focus on the client's drawing and colors? Could you share how do you conduct this therapy?
Okay, so just to okay, I'm just gonna do a little bit of correction. So I don't do art therapy, because then it's much more on the clinical side, and I'm not qualified in that sense. But I think through my intuitive painting sessions and stuff like that, like I use therapeutic art techniques, right? So yes, I do focus on my clients' drawings and colors, because it's more of an observation. So like human beings, I feel that we are, how to say, we are kind of like easily, we can read each other easily, because it's all over us, like how we dress, how we look and stuff like that. We express ourselves that way, in that sense, like, which is quite obvious. So even when it comes to the choice of drawing and colors as well that they use, you can actually tell a lot about that person as well.
Right.
Yeah. So how do I do this? Usually I I give them space to create. That's basically it, like, yeah. I allow them to. I'll tell them, like, you are your own boss. You call the shots, over here in my session, and in my session, basically, like, I don't believe that, like, no one's an artist and that kind of thing, and that you can't paint. I feel that everyone here can create, and you are supposed to create, because creating isn't just limited to art itself. Creating, it's to help you with your self-development. Yeah, so that's basically what I usually do. I allow them to create, and then I will observe, and then I'll talk to them about it. Yeah.
Okay. So have you had people like who come for the session because they're intrigued and they feel like it might do them some good, but then once they're there, they're very hesitant to even take the first brush, or to take the color, because they don't even know how to start, because some people might not have bothered with art their whole life.
Yeah.
So how would you handle those kind of people?
I usually just tell them to paint. Yes, no joke.
Okay.
Because I do have adults who are like who tell me, like, but I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to. Can you do this for me? So,
right.
Like, not to be mean or anything, but I'm usually quite a straightforward person in that sense. So I'll just tell them, like, you are here for a reason. If I'm going to be painting for you, then what's the point of you coming here? You came here for a reason, so try and do it. And usually they just need a little bit of push. They just need a little bit of encouragement. Like, even adults too, they want to hear words of encouragement and motivation, just to be able to get that kind of that push to do it. So
right.
I have faced a lot of students like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just usually just tell them to just do it.
I think I've read a lot of articles about you where people obviously ask, as an artist, who's your favorite artist, and you have mentioned Frida Kahlo.
Yes.
Why do you like her as a person? Do you like her style of art? Like, what really attracted you towards her?
Okay, so, like, I have two favorite artists. One is Frida, and the other one is Van Gogh. So Van Gogh is because I would say that he is actually practicing intuitive painting, because you can actually see in his colors and the way how he thinks. So like I'm very attracted to that. Yeah. But for Frida, it's a little bit different. Like, to be honest, her artwork is not very nice. Everyone knows this.
Right.
There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain in that art. But of course, I won't say it's ugly, because I really do admire her art. When you look at it, there is a story over there, and you can actually tell the amount of pain and suffering that she goes through in life, and how she questions life, itself. And it's all true in her paintings. You can actually see it. But why I love her so much is because I think Frida is an embodiment of our creative self, not necessarily an artist. I used to think that, she's like the goddess of all artists, that kind of thing. But like, I don't think it's just that anymore. I think it's more than that. She herself is a form of art. It's like, from her, like, if you were to read books about her, biographies about her, she does this intentionally, whether it is through her hair, the way she wears, even the choice of her clothes and her dress, and all that, and the skirt, she wore that intentionally to symbolize, to represent her culture. So she herself is a form of art, and she expresses her art not just through on canvas, but through photography, having people taking pictures of her. That's why I say she's a form of art, through writings. I think that there's even publications of her diaries, and the way she expresses herself is different, and like, I think she represents like life itself. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's why can't help but I resonate with her in that sense, like, you can actually feel her passion in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. This is a random question, but when it comes to artists, right? Do they all basically do intuitive art because they are trying to express who they are in their art, or can there be artists where they are very methodical? Like, okay, this is how you're supposed to do abstract art. This is how you're supposed to work with watercolors. Are there artists like that, or are they all very expressive and very intuitive?
There are intuitive artists out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I think majority of them are. Okay, I can't really speak for everyone, but through my own observation, I noticed that a lot of people out there, they are very methodical. They have to have a system. Like even for myself, I call myself an intuitive artist, but
Mm-hmm.
there are certain things when I do, I still need structure in that sense. I
Right.
still need to have a certain method. Like I got to draw this first, and then I got to place this. It's about planning, yeah. But I think it really depends on the type of art that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So for abstract artists in particularly, I know there's this myth that for abstract artists, they don't really know what they're painting. They just a slap of a paint over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But it's not really that way. I think I think
Okay.
it's not really that way. I think there's a lot of planning involved as well when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
for intuitive painting, it's a whole different thing. Like intuitive painting is basically you are allowing yourself to make thorough mess and then be able to convert that into an actual image itself. So that's that's like an entirely different process for certain artists. Yeah.
Okay. So, you could have still do this part-time. Could have done this part-time, the whole thing, So, because some people might not want to risk it and, do this full-time. So what made you decide, okay, you know what, I think I can do this full-time. This would be able to sustain me full-time.
So how did I came to that idea?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this happened was when I was a copywriter with the Art and Design College. I intentionally stayed longer in my job because I wanted to learn as much as I can, being someone who never had a chance to pursue art, like educational wise lah. So I stayed there longer than usual because I wanted to learn. But then came to a point where I realized that I had enough of learning already, and I needed to apply what I've learned. And I think I realized if I can put in the same amount of work, I've dedicated my entire time and energy and all my effort for my full-time job, for my boss. But what if I did the same thing, for myself? Like, why can't I replicate the same, working pattern or working habit as well for myself? If I can do that, then perhaps, there will be some kind of result over there. So I thought, I have to do this. I have to give it a shot. Yeah. So yeah, that's when I decided. Yeah.
So the thing is, right, doing art as a business, I feel like it's much more harder compared to, if you were to just if you're selling a product or things like, because it's much more abstract. It's very intangible when it comes to art. But somehow clients always seem to think they know better.
Yeah.
So have you come across difficult clients where, you did something for them and then they were not happy, or they asked you to revise or things like that?
In my entire experience, no, I've never experienced clients who are like that. Because most of the time I provide a service, right? So most of the time I show up and I deliver my service. They're pretty good usually. But I do have difficult clients in a sense where when it comes to things like payment, payment, yeah, and not living up to whatever it is that they are supposed to be doing, because I've done my part, you're supposed to do your part right now. So in that sense, I have experienced those type of clients. But when it comes to my work, my service, so far, no, I've never experienced those type. Yeah.
Okay. Have they ever undermined the price? Like, oh, why is this so expensive? Anything of that sort?
Yeah, definitely. So this, okay, right now, not so often, maybe because I'm a lot more mature and older, in how I present myself as well, and in how I handle things. But back when, many years ago, when I first started out, because I started off in college, right? So, and in college, I started a small little side business, which is fabric painting, just for the fun of it. And I had my first client, and I remember at that time, because at that time, arts and crafts scene in Malaysia was very, very small. We don't have workshops, we don't have Instagram like right now, it's not so glamorized. We don't have calligraphy artists and all that. But at that time, it was so small that people basically didn't believe in the whole hand painted idea, So I had a client who was, I think, a couture boutique owner, and she undermined my pricing. Yeah. So it was a little bit harder to stand up for myself at that time because I was so young and I was inexperienced. But like right now, I don't think like if people were to haggle, like I would tell them my reason why this is my price. And if you can't, then I'm sorry, you know, maybe there will be another person that you might who might be able to give you what you want. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So which of which of the your creative accomplishment has given you the most satisfaction?
I
Is
think the
it? I
fact
mean,
that, sorry?
yeah, I was wondering if that is even a question that you can, they usually they'll say all my creative accomplishments are equally satisfying or things like that.
It's a very interesting question because I never really thought of it before. That's why I'm
Okay.
like thinking like, oh, okay, this is a very interesting question.
Right.
Yeah, I've never really saw it that way because like I feel it like to me, I think perhaps if I were to really think about it, it would be to the fact that I actually did this. Like, you know,
Mm.
remember earlier when you asked me, you said that like what made me want to do this, you know, and all that. When I say that it's a childhood dream, it's really no joke a childhood dream. As corny as it sounds, you know, but I was going through some of my old sketchbooks that my mom passed to me, you know, and I was flipping through and I saw. I remember I used to write there like my name and then my ambition, and one of my ambition I wrote there was an artist. Was an
Right.
artist, a writer, a designer, anything. Basically, you get the idea that it's anything creative related. That's what I want to do. And so at
Mm.
the end of the day, I really did it. You know, I for some reason I don't know how, but I managed to get here. So I guess
Okay.
I would say this is my biggest accomplishment in life itself because like I've dedicated my entire life's work to exploring and studying and understanding creativity as a whole
Mm-hmm.
by connecting with people. Yeah,
Right. That's amazing.
thank you.
So along this journey, right? What is the best advice you've been given?
What's the best advice being given? Um, well, there were two by two very different people.
Mm-hmm.
One was a relative of another relative of mine who said to me like, even if you want to be a burger flipper or a burger
Mm-hmm.
seller, you can still be the best burger flipper or a burger seller. You know, it doesn't matter what you do, but be the best
Right.
in what you do best.
Mm-hmm.
And the other advice would be from a very good friend of mine. She was a lot older than me at that time, so she told me, she said like, you know what, just do what you love and the
Mm-hmm.
money will come. Do what you love and the
Right.
money will come. Yeah, I didn't understand it at that time because I was very 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 young.
Mm.
So but I think right now I do understand what she means, because like when you pursue your passion, like I know some people out there, they don't believe in the whole pursue passion thing, you know, because passion is just passion, you know. But I really do believe in the fact that you have to really enjoy what you do, because when you enjoy what you do, you're not just enjoying in what you are doing, you know, you are enjoying in what you do best. And when you're
Right.
so good at it and you love what you do, you will put your heart and soul into it to make sure that whatever it is that you do, it will work, and
Right.
naturally the money will come. So you're not really doing it because of the money, you're doing it because you really enjoy the process, and the money is just a reward from whatever it is that you do. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
guess, yeah, those two were the best quotes.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice way to put it, because most of the time they always, especially a lot of times people tend to give advice to young kids. It's like, keep two different things, because sometimes the two things can't go hand in hand, your passion and things that can make you money. So
Yeah,
at least, okay, if you still want to keep your passion alive, fine, just keep it as a hobby or something like that.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people don't advise, yeah, a lot of people don't advise to make it do together because it's too risky.
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, right, like sometimes you see some people who are in corporate, and you know that the 9 to 5 job, yeah, sure, you know, it pays and stuff like that, but you can really tell it on their face that they are so unhappy with their job, you know. And and when they are at work, you know, and people complain about them not delivering, you know, not be able to perform well, it's not really their fault in that sense, because the truth is they don't really like what they do.
Right.
So like, honestly, do yourself a favor and just pursue what you truly like to do, you know, and then
Mm-hmm.
you will be able to live freely and happily as well, that like
Mm.
live wholeheartedly, you know, then, and you'll be able to see life very differently from that sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to all your passion projects right now and all the things that you're planning in the future, where do you see yourself, like maybe 10 years from now?
I guess I'm probably still painting. I don't know. But I do have, well, my husband and I, we plan to, if we can, we probably go further with it, of bringing the entire community together and helping people. When I say help people, I mean help them mentally and emotionally, whether it is through art, or through creativity, through whatever it is that we can find ways to basically do it for the community or for the collective lah. Yeah, for the collective. And whatever project that comes to mind, I think as long as it falls under our passion, yeah, we'll probably give it a shot and try it, because we're constantly pivoting anyways. Yeah. But I think more importantly is to, I would say, focusing on my unit first lah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably like that, and also painting. I'll still be painting, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So how would you, I think this would be like my final question, or like, to conclude, how would you define success? Would you say that you're successful now, or do you have a few more things to achieve first before you say, you know what, I've made it? Yeah. Or is it something that's going to continuously evolve for you?
I think, well, the word evolve is very interesting, because I think success, to me, I see it as evolution, us evolving, as a person or as a human. And I think for myself, I have come a long way, not because like I've like made money or have been successful and all that, it's not in that way, but like not career-wise, but like in life itself. I had a pretty rough start as a child. Like I come from like pretty bad childhood, and to see myself come from that background, and work my way up to whatever I have right now, and happily married, and being a unit with my husband, and having friends, or like being in a community and really truly doing what I love doing, and expressing myself in that sense healthily. I think that's, to me, I'm there. I'm really there. Yeah. I think that if whatever comes next is just basically evolving, constantly evolving.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, that's success. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, because I think a lot of people continuously search for something to the point that they forgot that they have done so much already, and they don't stop and think about that and be grateful about that first.
Yeah, correct. I think it's like what I said earlier, if you're gonna be focusing, like if you're not gonna focus on the process, then you can't really get to the result, because like we are all it's our habitual pattern in us, like how we were raised, to constantly focus on that result all the time, that big picture, that kind of thing, but like, what about the process? The process here, that's the most important thing. And the process here is the fact that you are actually doing it, and you are here, whether it is you're a mother or you're a father and you are raising your kids, or even if you don't really get off days often, but you are still getting up early and making sure that your kids eat and putting your kids to bed, that's doing something. You are there, you are actually there doing it. So like, I think it's really our mindset. Yeah, we gotta try and adjust that a little bit to see things differently.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Shia Lynn. I really enjoyed this an hour discussion, and I think it's truly a pleasure to getting to know you. I'm glad that I got to know you through the show.
Thank you. It's fun. It's very fun for me.
I'm glad as well.
Thank you.
Okay. So I will say my goodbyes first. So I will say thank you so much, Shia Lynn. And don't forget to follow her page, Artsy Craftsy, on Instagram. I think I've tagged every single time I've posted anything. I will be posting a clip out later on as well, and I will tag. Please follow through if you're interested with Shia Lynn's therapeutic art sessions or intuitive art sessions. If you're interested to join, just I think you can just DM you, right?
Yeah, sure. Both pages. So it's they can contact me at hello.theartsycraftsy.com or my Instagrams, both my Instagrams at Shia Lynn Victor or at the Artsy Craftsy. Yeah, they can just contact me
Right.
anytime. I'll definitely reply. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, so thank you so much for your comments and questions. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the season finale. So Let's Talk with Tammy will take a break for probably around 2 months, and I'll see you again in July. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you who have been so supportive of the show. And I really hope to bring even better content, even more interesting personalities in the next season. So till then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe BKNI Resources YouTube channel. You can watch all 12 episodes there. Till then, goodbye, good night, and have a good weekend.